Welcome to Spill the Booch. This is the show where we share wild, hilarious, and oh so relatable stories from the yoga and wellness world because let's be real, it isn't always as zen as it seems. I'm Mara and I'm here with yoga experts Carol and Terri. So together we're diving into stories that make you laugh, cringe, and say, yep, that's the yoga studio life. So grab your kombucha or your tea or coffee and let's jump in. Before we get started, I have to ask you guys a question.
Mhm.
Have you ever found yourself in a yoga class where the unexpected happens, from accidental hand-holding or surprise musical interludes? What is the weirdest, funniest thing that's ever happened in a yoga class?
Oh my God. It's like, where to start, Carol?
Well, yeah, that's I need to go back.
Oh, I have lots.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you
I
do.
have from Janet Jackson moments, boob gate.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, that's triggering some memories.
Yeah, one time teaching, lovely young woman. She was wearing, it was a hot studio, and so didn't realize that her breast, one of her breasts was completely exposed. Totally oblivious to the fact. And so very, went over. Of course, she was mortified. There's that one. And then, I can't tell you how many hairy scrotums I've seen. Then there was Thong Man. That was always
I think you told me about Thong
Thong
Man.
Man made the rounds of every hot studio in New England, and he liked to wear not just thongs, any thongs, but hot pink, electric blue with rhinestones, and yeah,
Was it like a Borat outfit or like a thong thong?
it was a thong thong. It was a thong that guys would wear,
Oh my gosh.
and that was really interesting. Then of course there's the guy, several people, one young woman doing a backward bend and just kept going.
Like
Tried
on
to fall down
purpose?
backwards, fell down backwards, passed out, going back. And then there was the time the dude just completely passed out. The time the lady was
It's,
go pose and broke her knee, and we had to call 911. Located her knee. Oh, and then there's when I passed out teaching.
that would do it. I mean, that wouldn't really be funny though. That would be scary.
It was a little scary when I woke
A
up.
little scary.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I
It
could keep
sounds
going.
like it.
Yeah.
Carol, did anything stir up in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, the accidental hand holding happens, I think, a lot in classes, that kind of thing. You reach out, oops, I didn't mean to touch you. And the top thing, I remember in class, this woman was doing sort of like the 26 and 2 Bikram yoga sit up. And when she
Mhm.
did that, she was wearing like a more like a swimsuit top than
Mm.
a yoga top. So it had a clasp in the back, and she popped up, and that whoop like came right off. So she stopped herself. So that was a good one.
Oh
Super,
my God.
she
That's
caught
funny.
herself in time, but it was like, whoop, don't wear that
Yeah.
top.
Okay, well, let's jump into the story that we've all been waiting for. So the title of this story, it's posted by Crazy M, Most Awkward Funny Yoga Experiences. In class yesterday, I had a wonderfully awkward moment with the student beside me. We were cramped like sardines, and while laying on our backs for sitting poses, we kept touching each other's hands and then pulling away from each other over and over and over again. After about the 10th or 15th time that happened, we ended up just holding hands for a moment to break the tension and laughed.
Sweet. I like
What
that.
are some awkward, funny moments that you have experienced? So this like opens up the floodgates of all of the comments, but right off the bat, this happens in so many yoga classes, mostly like when I'm going in with my friends and then we're in those weird poses where we're so close and the class is packed. And then we do just hold hands, especially in that one, the
Focused.
Yeah.
locust, thank you. And we just like hold hands, but then we lift each other up or like we try and like push each other up. Me and my friend Justine would always do that, and it was really fun.
That's kind of a joke that we would make as a teacher. It's like if you're close to your neighbor, try to get your arms on top so they have to lift you up,
Yeah.
kind of make a little joke about that.
Balancing stick pose, right? If it was a full class, I would like tickle the people's toes in front of me. If I knew them. If I knew them, obviously, not somebody I didn't know, but yeah. It's
Oh my gosh. Well, this happens a lot too, like when you're in standing separate legs stretching, I
yeah.
think.
You
The
have
one
to do
where you're like
the-
your arms are out and your legs are out and then you go down. But like you guys know if you're in a busy yoga class and you're like it's packed, you really have to do the whole whoop
yeah.
under their butt so you don't hit their butt with your face.
There was one time, standing bull pulling pose, Dande Manadot, which is the equivalent of dancer, right? And
Mhm.
woman there, the class was doing it, and this one woman was just like, she was like locked in steady, and this guy fell out of it and practically almost bumped into her, but I have to say, she was like, boom, she didn't move.
She was concentrated.
She wasn't moving. I think
Yeah.
obviously if he'd hit her, she would have gone down. And actually in that standing suppers, I've seen it where one person loses, and I actually saw like a domino one time, like three people went over. It was pretty funny. No,
Oh my goodness.
fortunately nobody was hurt. Yeah, a funny thing
You
after,
sound like an infomercial. Fortunately, nobody was hurt by this incident.
actually funny thing had happened in the yoga after was the couple that like to have sex in the shower.
Oh, that's X-rated.
Yeah.
Interesting.
My studio, we had two gender neutral showers in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Couple that they would slip in. It was like, and one time everybody's like, are they doing what I think they're doing in there?
Oh my God.
And they were just, and I was like, I finally had, let's talk about awkward conversations you have to have with clients.
You know what you should do when you have to have an awkward conversation with a yoga student is you both have to sit in awkward pose while you have the conversation.
It would keep the conversation short.
It really would. So
Yeah.
when you guys experience these extra moments or these really funny, unexpected moments, do you find like it impacts the atmosphere of the yoga session? Like, does it make it worse? Does it make it better? Like, what do people usually do in the class when these things happen?
It all depends on how you as a teacher handle it.
So Terri, you obviously handle these things with grace and
Well, sometimes, I don't know if you've experienced this, Carol, is like something will happen to someone and people are focused, and if you don't make a big deal out of it, you're able to deal with it and people don't even know.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like particularly in Bikram hot yoga, sometimes you can see, after you've been teaching a while, you can see the signs of somebody maybe going down, like and you just calmly go up to them and just, say, hey, Mayor, why don't you go? It looks like, why don't you sit down? And I've done this. Sit. I have done that before to get people, and they're like, oh, and they'll sit down, they'll be fine. But I think, Carol, I know what your experience is. It's just all of it, even in like an emergency situation, it's just like with kids or what, if you make it a big deal, then it becomes a big deal.
Yeah, I can see that.
But if you approach it calmly, if it's a humorous thing, you can inject a little levity in it. If it's a serious thing, you acknowledge, you keep, like the class where the woman, actually it was her ankle, it was wobbly, and she moved in a rut and she snapped her ankle and she went down screaming.
Ugh.
And
And how did you handle that? Like, what did you
well,
do?
I wasn't teaching.
Oh.
But I was in the class. So this is where also you can have people, he kept the class going. I went out, I went over to her, flagged somebody else. They went and called 911. Then we kept the class going. We got her out of the room, and then the ambulance came. And so I think sometimes it's just how you manage the room.
Yeah.
Carol, what about you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I always felt really comforted when I knew there were doctors around or nurses in the class or another, teacher in the room. These are rare things that happen, but yeah, it is definitely like calm mind and calm teacher is going to keep the room calm, right? You're kind of at the helm of that situation. So, and you're right, Terri, a lot of times people across the room have no idea what's going on. Something funny happens, like they're in their zone, they're doing their yoga, and
Yeah.
so half the time, if you don't make a big deal about it, it's a lot of people won't even know. So
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was the time in the studio that it's a studio I bought. I ended up buying. We had just opened. It was like week 2, and again, a hot studio. And the contractor had put the wrong rated fire sprinkler heads in the room, in the hot room. And so the one closest to like one of the vents, it went off. The sprinkler system went off. And let me tell you, if you ever been in a building that with those go, even one put out so much water that within like a minute, there was like an inch of water on the hot room floor and yoga mats started to float.
Well, at least you guys were already sweaty. It's not like
So,
it disrupted the workout.
the funniest part of this story is that the owner, his name was Norman. He was teaching. He was a big guy. He was like 6'4", blonde hair, big guy, really nice. Loved his class. And he was wearing the old, for those of you, Shakti shorts, the Brazilian men's cut, like bathing suit.
Yeah.
Not quite like a Steve.
Borderline thong.
Well, that wasn't a thong. But so he's teaching in that. And we're trying to find where the water shutoff valve is. We didn't know where it was. And so finally he puts on a sweater, and it's a long sweater. So it was covering his shorts. He had this long sweater on, and he loved to wear clogs. Actually, he was born in Germany, a naturalized citizen, but he
You just picture this look.
Okay, so they're big 6'4" blonde guy with this sweater, that cardigan sweater that came below his yoga shorts, in clogs, running up and down the plaza where the studio was, trying to find out.
Like outside?
Outside, because we couldn't find the shutoff. It turns out the water shutoff was at the end of the strip mall where there was a restaurant. So because we had to turn the water
very
off.
inconvenient.
Very inconvenient, but it was absolutely hysterical watching him run up and down, because you would have sworn he was butt naked underneath. I still, to this day, that was what, 14, 15 years ago, I can so easily picture him running up and down the strip mall in his clogs, in his sweater, trying to find the shutoff valve. To me, it was
funny. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's check out a couple of the comments. I was in a great vinyasa class with an awesome yoga instructor. And at the end of the practice, when we were in Savasana, I guess the instructor's iPod shuffled out of her regular playlist and started playing Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise. I feel like this is something, Carol, you would do, but on purpose. I mean, it isn't like that aggressive of a song. Like, it would actually be like, oh yeah, I can feel this.
So maybe.
Oh my God. I would love if that happened. Do you ever incorporate rap music, any kind of more explicit music into your yoga classes? I guess you don't teach vinyasa where you would.
Yeah, I don't teach any yoga classes that require music. So
but your IHP classes,
that's a whole different ballgame. And
you have the best playlist to begin with, so they're all probably pretty dope.
I had a rule. I didn't have a lot of, we didn't use in Bikram obviously, but in IHP and stuff, is the hard rule was no explicit lyrics. I mean, that was just a general policy of mine for my studio. I guess I would just always channel my mom in those cases, because she was really, I think the worst thing I ever heard her say was hell, and so that was my policy, just no explicit lyrics. And a lot of songs that you can put, a lot of songs will have explicit and they'll have
the radio edit,
like a G or PG version of the same song, like that song I really like, that you played on the boat last. I'm good. This is the best fucking night of my life, right? I love that. So I love that version, but there's also one that doesn't have the F word in it.
Yeah,
it's the same song, they just substitute the word. So yeah.
There's a couple more comments here. One evening when it was just me and my younger male instructor, we had a death metal yoga session. So it seems like it was kind of a private class. And then someone commented on that. Sweet. Maybe if they play death metal and yoga, my husband might actually join me. I mean, there's a class for everyone. And I know some yoga studios, they do themed classes. I know spin studios do this a lot. And I love, love, love the Taylor Swift ones, obviously. But it would be so funny, to have, to specifically do an explicit class where it is all the swear words, because for me personally, I like rage, and I like get so much more intense when there's swearing involved. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Ah, you know.
I think that 100% can do, and asterisks. I think if the studio is going to do that, like have that, they should somehow say that this class may use, I don't know. I just feel you should
Oh,
give.
yeah, I think there's definitely some kind of asterisk there that suggests that, because yeah, some people just really aren't into it.
Yeah.
And other people are. I feel like it keeps the classes interesting when you have good music. It like adds an extra element to the classes, like vinyasa specifically, when it's fun to hear a familiar song in your vinyasa classes instead of just like,
Although,
you know.
so here's an interesting, sort of the flip side to that. I had a friend who she's actually doing a 26 and 2 training right now. Anyway, she was in a 26 and 2 class, which a lot of times nowadays people will play music in a 26 and 2. And it really, she said there were, whatever the playlist was, it was very triggering for her because some of the songs in there were reminders of a very bad breakup. And she's like, spent the whole class. It's like, oh my God, did this teacher like go and hack and found out all the songs that I used to listen to with this ex-boyfriend?
That.
I know.
But I could see that. You just never know, though. You can't please everybody.
I
All
also, so I wonder, I
All
sometimes
right.
wonder about music and yoga classes.
There's so many different elements to a yoga class that can be great for some people and not great for other people. And that's why people just really love, especially us, the OG 26 and 2, because we know what to expect. All right, this comment here. I went to a Halloween yoga class. We had two guys dressed up as halves of a sandwich and a guy in a toad outfit whose mushroom hat kept falling off, a black swan, a banana, a strawberry. The instructor kept looking at all of us, about to burst out in laughter. Three girls came into Warrior 1, 2, and 3, and so he made us do Warrior 3. Okay, this comment really doesn't make much sense. And then she says, I went with the easy route, aerobics instructor, but it was probably one of the funniest classes I've ever been to. Have you guys ever done Halloween classes where you like encourage your students to dress up?
Yeah.
We used to do them all the time at the studio, and we always had this one student. Every single year, he would wear one of those like puffy outfits that had like the fan in them, like super smart because you have a fan built in, but also it was like so big and puffy. Like he was so funny to see everything, like for him to do anything, and like he could barely move, but like he told us after, he's like, I am not comfortable. Y'all think I'm super comfortable because I have a fan built in, but nope, it's hot as shit in here. And one year I decided to dress up as a baby. And I
You were a diaper.
I thought this was gonna be great because I don't know, absorption, I don't know. But I bought Depends and like wore a diaper in class. And then I even had like a baby bottle with my water in it. It was so uncomfortable. It got like so heavy and soggy. It was so gross. It was a big mistake. Didn't do that again.
Note to self, don't wear Depends in a hot yoga class.
I don't know, maybe like the swim ones would have been a better option,
Do they?
but the OG ones were not ideal. And then I sold the rest of the box. And I was like, I'm never gonna use these for many years to come.
Hopefully never. Keep doing those Kegel exercises.
What do you guys dress up as for Halloween classes, or what's the best costume you've ever seen?
Okay, so I did a theme, like an 80s IHP essentially. And growing up as a dancer, I still have some old leotards from back in the day.
Yeah.
And there happened to be this, gray one that I was like, this is so 80s. I'm pretty sure I wore it like when I was a teenager, whatever. And so I wore it. But it was 80s fabric and it was gray. So I sweated. I mean, you could see every bead of sweat, but didn't sweat right here.
That's the yellow dress at the summit 2 years ago. Same thing.
Like it was just
Oh
very
my God.
get the same color as the rest of my leotard.
Did you like try and throw water at it to like even it out?
Probably had my arm just like this and like tried to do something and get like sweat.
I actually wore, this is not a yoga class, but I had this really cool gray top that was like made out of this fabric, and it was like kind of like crinkly, right? And it was it was like a tube top. It was back in my clubbing days. And so I'm out on the dance floor and I go into the bathroom, same thing. So I just pulled it right off there in the bathroom, and I just got the whole damn thing wet, and then I put it back on.
I wish I
There
could
you
have done
go.
that in the middle of class.
Not a good top to wear out when you're sweating and you're dancing.
Oh my gosh. We would always have a competition too at when we did our Halloween classes. It's like you get an extra prize if you keep your costume on
The whole
throughout the
time.
whole class.
Yeah.
Because like people would show up as like full blown like tiger outfit or lion, like a full blown like with
Yeah.
a hat and a head thing, everything. So then Josh, of course, thought it would be funny to make them wear it the whole class and suffer just a little bit more in the heat. And we always changed all of our lights for black lights. So anybody white or light colors, it would really pop. It was really fun. It was a super fun class. Okay, any other really funny things happen in yoga classes for you guys? Or like what's something that happened and you like, have you ever laughed uncontrollably in a yoga class and you just like could not stop?
It's never happened to me in yoga.
Oh.
At a wedding.
Ooh, what happened?
Was I laughing or was I? Oh, because so I get very emotional, right? So I get emotional, and I was my one of my really good friends, and I was with another friend, at the wedding, and I'm like, I knew the friend that I was sitting with was gonna make fun of me for crying. Like I just knew because she's like very like that. Like she would never ever cry at a wedding, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm trying to keep it in. And I'm like, our friends get married, right? And I'm just like, but then my friend that was sitting next to me, I could feel her judgment. And we both started cracking up because I'm crying and trying not to cry. So it was just like, one of those uncontrollable, then it turned into the uncontrollable laughter from I don't know. It was
Oh my God. I
yeah.
totally
Okay.
feel what you're saying. Like, I am so emotional. It's insane. And like, we just finished watching Schitt's Creek. Have you guys watched that show? Okay. So, you know how it's just like such a feel good, and like, I cry all the time at feel good stuff. And Kenny will always just be like, "Oh, you're crying again? Okay, they're there." Like he'll do the Sheldon, they're there. But like the last episode is just like so sweet and so feel good and emotional, but it's so funny. Like when Moira shows up in her getup for the wedding, I'm like dying laughing, but then crying so much because this is all so lovely and whatever. And just like bawling my eyes open, crying. It was a thing, but yeah, I cry a lot.
Not teaching, but taking class one time. So much so that I actually moved my mat away from my friend, because it was like I actually moved my mat because we just were like we couldn't keep our shit together.
That's what I should. So this one time, it was the first and only time I've ever brought a boyfriend to a yoga class with me. And he'd never done yoga before. And he was really concerned and like really like, I don't want to do it. What if I can't do the postures? What if I screw up? What if I fart? What if this? What if that? And like me and one of my best friends, Justine, and then my other best friend, Jordan, she was teaching. Thank goodness she was teaching because anybody else would have given us so much shit. And so we were in the back row, and like you guys know when you're in it, like when you're in a Bikram yoga class, like they tell you exactly what to do, but like just the looks on his face, like his expression where he was like, I don't what they want me to do, what? Like it was just so funny, and like that on top of like his already anxiety, which is so mean to say, but it was just like so funny. And like Justine and I, like, we would just make eye contact and then just burst out laughing. And like Jordan was such a good teacher. And so then she would just like make comments and like kind of put it into her class that I don't know. She did a really good job of it, thankfully. But we definitely should have been separated. That would have been the responsible thing for Jordan to do, is separate us instead of letting us continue laughing at this poor boy.
What I would say when I was teaching it with people, friends or whoever, I would sometimes, if they were getting, I would just sometimes say, am I gonna have to separate you two? Am I gonna have, just to kind of give, so that's the,
But then that would make me laugh even more.
this is also why I always tell new teachers, and maybe same for you, Carol, is don't look at their faces in the beginning. Looking, as a new teacher, the faces that people make while they're practicing, a lot of times they don't even realize what's on their face. And I would tell all new, I said, just because someone gave me that advice, and it's just don't look at their faces in the beginning because it'll just totally throw you off.
Okay, this one.
Obviously, it's funny.
It is funny. There's this guy in my Ashtanga group that always has a boner. When the class is done, he's lying on his back, and yes, he does wear those tight shorts. So yes, there's a bulge, but it's more than a bulge. It's definitely a big old boner.
I've seen it happen.
It happens. I don't know. You just gotta not look at it. I don't know. Maybe it's just the sweet release of the yoga high.
Yoga stimulates circulation.
It does. Gets that blood flowing.
Blood flowing.
I have no
Oh
words.
my
I don't
gosh.
know what to say.
I was like, why do I keep coming on this show? First we talk about poop, now we talk about boners. We just talk about all the funny things, and I'm gonna get canceled eventually. Uh, so, okay, my last question for you guys before we wrap up. How can humor be incorporated into a yoga practice without disrupting the meditative aspect?
You mean into the teaching or into your own personal practice?
Both.
Well, for your own personal practice, I think it's just yoga, So it's always about like, oh, I fell out. Like, I think it's noticing your thought patterns. That's part of the journey of a practice, sort of getting really in tune to what you're thinking and about yourself when you're practicing. And there's sometimes people start with judgments on themselves, and it's like, it's just yoga. So have a little sense of humor about it. And it's it's not that serious anyway. And as a teacher, that's a little more subjective, right? Like some people think that they're really funny and they're not. Like you don't have the thing, right? So I don't know if I could give any advice to anyone. Teach your class and teach the room in front of you, right?
Yeah.
If something funny happens, just go with it,
Yeah.
I think that as for teaching, it has to be, when I think about times when there was something funny or humorous, it's like I didn't go in with the intention of making it a humorous class. It's more like it's like something organically presented itself that it then was able to weave into or use as something in the yoga class itself. Maybe something happened that, or I don't know. A good one is someone passes gas very loudly or something like that. You can, kind of, oop, I guess that posture is really working for someone, or, things like that. But, and again, the other thing too is you don't want to call out attention to any one person. It could be construed as humorous. I like I said, to Carol's point, you have to just read the room and see what's going on. And I found, the other, as you say, Carol, it's just yoga, is sometimes when people take it so serious, it is just yoga. I know a lot of studios have the rule, like, please be no talking, no whispering in the yoga room, things like that. At my studio, it was there wasn't a lot of hanging. People hung out in the hot room because the lobby was tiny, the changing rooms were really big. And, before class, people, it was sometimes like party time in there. And I remember one time this woman came, she was visiting, or I forget, whatever, she came storming out of the hot room and up to me, and you're just really incensed. People are talking in there. People are talking in there. And I looked at her, I said, yeah, isn't that a cool thing? And and she was like flustered, and then she huffed, and I don't think she ever came back. I think sometimes it's almost, I sometimes laugh, at least like to your point, internally, at sometimes of the seriousness of how people, it's like, really? It's just yoga. Yeah. I mean, and maybe I'll get canceled because of that. It's just like the asana
Getting
is,
canceled.
asana
Carol,
is,
you're the only one left.
you're the only one left. The practice of yoga, the asanas of yoga are at the physical. It's the physical part of the practice. So it's supposed to be physical.
And then you calm your mind and you just block it all out. If you want to be quiet and focused, then you do you.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't let anybody else disrupt your yoga.
Well, that's actually a really good point. I mean, people are like, oh, this and that's like, ideally, if you're really into your yoga practice, you just tune everything out and you're just listening to the words and the body goes along.
Life is busy.
Life is
The
busy.
yoga studio, like yoga class around you is busy and loud, and you do you, you focus on you. All right, friends. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Spill the Booch. Thanks for hanging out with us, sharing some laughs, because let's face it, yoga might be zen, but life isn't always. Don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share your own wild stories with us. You might just hear them on our show. Until next time, cheers.
Bye.